Chad Hymas is an inspirational speaker who inspires, motivates, and moves audiences across the world. He is one of the youngest ever to receive the Council of Peers Award for Excellence and to be inducted into the prestigious National Speaker Hall of Fame. In 2001, at the age of 27, Chad's life changed in an instant when a 2,000-pound bale of hay shattered his neck, leaving him a quadriplegic. But Chad's dreams were not paralyzed that day. He became an example of what is possible. Chad is now a best-selling author, president of his own communications company, and a recognized world-class wheelchair athlete. What has changed in your life from when you had your accident to now in terms of your outlook on life?
Well, as it pertains to outlook on my life? Well,
yeah, or your outlook, yeah, and just your positivity and...
I'm a lot shorter and I see things from a lot lower level. I tend to sit at other people's level rather than stand up and look down upon people. As far as perspective goes, one thing that you'll understand very well, Allie, is that we tend to, sometimes it takes us to lose something like freedom before we hold it sacred. How's that? So, these challenging times we're going through now, where people aren't able to connect with others or engage or go out to a restaurant like they used to, or go to school or just go and practice cheerleading with the rest of the cheerleaders. They can't do that during a pandemic, during COVID. And then those friends all of a sudden become very, very valuable to us. So one thing I've tried to implement in my perspective is that I don't want to wait to lose something before I hold it sacred. Before you asked me for this interview, I had no idea who you were. Just because I didn't know who you were didn't mean that the interview would not be something sacred to me. So when the office came to me with that, I immediately checked it off and said, clear it, schedule it, get it on the calendar. Just an opportunity to get to know somebody different, new, see what their life's all about. So as much as you think that you're interviewing me today, it's probably going to be reciprocated.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an honor. So I like your perspective. So you choose to be, and this is going to kind of coincide with my previous question, but you choose to be positive, every
Not
day.
always.
Well, there's challenges, and obviously yes and no.
I'm a sitting roller coaster. I mean, you talk to my wife and my kids. I do pretty good when I'm with people.
Yeah.
We always put our best face forward, right, Allie?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, we have to. But positivity is clearly something that's, I meant, like, important to you.
I am not successful at being negative. I have tried it. Trust me, I have so tried it. I am just not successful at it. I suck at being negative because I'm down, I'm unhappy, my kids are unhappy, my wife's she's sad, and it makes the whole house even the cows out in the field, they can tell when I'm not happy, and they're cattle. It's like the dog can tell, one thing I've learned though, Allie, the dog is much quicker to forgive me than my wife and my kids. The dog
they're loyal. I mean, they don't,
right. So no, you're right. What you said in your first statement, I do try, but I've often been asked, Allie, this question, Chad, when did you finally get there? I mean, when did you finally start making a living for your family, even though your hands are curled and you're a quadriplegic and your legs don't work? I mean, when did you finally get there? And my answer is usually something goes like this. It goes something like this. Are you joking me? I mean, this is going to last the rest of my life, as it is yours, and as everybody else that watches and listens to this interview. We don't ever really truly get there, although I think we make progress. And as long as people are in that growth mindset, positivity and the doors for positivity, they just open up, Allie. Like the opportunity to meet you today. I mean, this is a positive experience for me. This is something that's keeping my mind off of something that I lost. And anytime I can do something that keeps my mind off of something I lost, that's a pretty good use of time.
Right. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. I think
anyway,
positivity is the best.
Yeah. So not mastered, but definitely growing. Everybody gets old. Growth has to be intentional. Everybody gets gray hair. growth has to be intentional, right? So
Absolutely.
Live a life with intentional positivity. There you go. Try and be intentional with your positive attitude. Don't be fake. Don't be non-authentic. Don't be unauthentic. Don't be unreal. Try and be real. I can't tell you how many times I've given my wife a fake smile.
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone does. I mean, not every day is pretty, right. When we're not in COVID, you travel, around to, a lot,
you travel a lot.
Do a lot of different events, speak and so forth, and you do travel alone. So how do you navigate, your day-to-day, life independently when, you're alone?
I wait. So I don't travel with an aid. I am 95% numb. I'm in a push wheelchair, not an electric wheelchair. So I've got even though I can't feel my hands, I use them to my advantage. So the fingers are curled on both sides, and I have calluses on the heel. And so on my 4-pound titanium wheelchair, which is made for my body, I use mountain bike tires, which allows me to grip and to get some exercise and to push. So on a push, I'm doing it that way. And so how do I get on the airplane? Because I don't walk on the airplane. How do I get off the airplane? How do I get into an Uber vehicle? How do I get to the Marriott 5-star resort hotel on Broadway and Overs, in New York? How do I do that? The answer is simple. There's a bunch of people in New York. They're like everywhere.
Right.
And very seldom do I have to ask. Generally speaking, people are so kind to me. And just because I don't ask doesn't mean they're unkind, but I will find someone to help me. I promise you, Allie, I will find help.
Right.
I still have a lot of pride. I don't want to travel with a nurse. I don't want to travel with anybody. I want to travel alone, which has made COVID, after being married for 26 years and traveling for 20 of the 26 and being now secluded to our ranch in Salt Lake City with a beautiful wife that I've been married to for 26 years. I'm just learning how to be married now. I'm just learning that. Because we're around each other all the time now.
Right. But just in terms of obviously, this is probably what you do, I guess, even at home, with your wife there. But in terms of showering, changing, getting out from the bed and so forth, that's all something that you've just done naturally and have never really needed assistive.
Takes me 2 hours and and I'll get help sometimes on the road, but it's not with somebody I'm in love with. I love them. But I'm not in love with them. So having your spouse do that for you, I know we say for better or for worse or something like that, when we get married. Nobody plans on the love of their life helping them shower. I know it sounds like fun. It's not fun, Allie. It's not. No one plans. I'm just saying, no one plans on the love of their life, helping them get dressed. I know it sounds like fun. It's not fun. And so, this is what I'm learning now is that Shondel's love language is service.
Is that your wife's name? That's such a beautiful name.
Shondel's love language is service. And she has said in the last few months over and over again that if she can't serve in her own home, which is a God-given gift that she's been given, she feels, it's difficult for her to go serve outside the home. So while I might use the excuse and the crutch of being the guinea pig for that, the truth is there's some opportunity to allow her. So I'm learning to surrender. And that doesn't mean I give up. That means I surrender to me not being right all the time. Doesn't have to be my way all the time. And she's happier. So instead of me taking 2 hours to get dressed, she has me done in 5 minutes. And then can you believe this? She wants me to go have breakfast with the kids. I know. It's stupid. I've never done that before in 20 years. I've been flying for 20 years. I'm not here to see that. And so now I'm learning how to have breakfast with the kids.
You quote that the more dependent you are on other people, the more independent you become. Can you tell us a little bit more about that quote?
There's a passage in a book that I like to read that says, let your weaknesses become your strengths. Now, I'm not saying you have to believe in the same book that I believe in. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I like the passage. I just like the passage. That's all. I think it's a very inspiring passage. So other people's biceps have become the compensation for my lack thereof because I don't have very good biceps. When I allow other people's strengths to compensate for what I'm not very good at or not very strong at, more has come to me in the process. I don't know how to say any better than that. I mean, that's
amazing.
That's what's happened. I'm full. I have staff all around me that work in my office. I'm not very good at Apple. I have a PC, not a Mac. I'm just not a. So there. That's another example. Tying up the top button on my shirt. I can do the rest of them. I need someone else to help me that top button. So another example. Cutting up a piece of steak, making a hamburger to where I can eat it decent. Cut it up. I just allow other people's abilities to compensate for my lack of ability, and that's what's allowed me to travel the world by myself. I'm the only quadriplegic noted by Guinness that does it, and it's not because I'm stronger. It's not because I have more money. It's not because I have a better attitude. It's that I have allowed other people to help me where I am not able to help myself, like get in an Uber vehicle. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing that I'm really struggling with, I don't struggle with that. I'm cool with that. Remember, I'm not in love with them. They're not my wife.
Right, of course not.
Now I'm learning how to let my wife and my children do that on a regular basis because I still need the help. That hasn't changed.
Of course not.
But this bad air and bad disease has changed my ability to travel. And so now I'm on a ranch, and our homestead's on a ranch, and having the people that I love help me, that's a whole new ballgame for Chad Hymas. It shouldn't be, but right. I'm learning that. So again, I don't mean to go back and retract on a previous question or something we've already covered.
No, of course.
But I do need that same help that I've always needed. Now it's just allowing those that love me the most to help me. And when I do that with a good attitude, again, people are happier. The cows are happier out in the field. The dog's happier. The birds are happier. I mean, it just, everything's happier. And so I just need to do it with gratitude that's real and not go silent. I love the silent game. Looks like this.
Of course.
I just saw this out. So anyway, I can't go silent. I got to knock that off.
Of course.
I think I did it last night.
All right. So you had just mentioned, and I'm actually in the same situation where I've been able to throw out X, Y, and Z, money to just get the support that I need. But it's something that's actually really kind of crazy, I guess, because some people will say, well, if you can financially, support X, Y, and Z services, like that's what helps, make a disability, quote unquote, in terms of functioning, because you get all the help. What do you think of that then?
I don't know. You caught me off guard there, Al. I don't know.
Only because you brought it up, and I just was like, I mean, that's what I get all the time from people.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because I do think, I think money is a great, asset to having a disability, but I definitely do think, and people are definitely more capable than they may think they are, and they throw money too.
I think sometimes that put it this way, and I want to be respectful because some people need that that disability check or that, and I had that for a while. Okay,
right? So, no, I know.
So I get that, but no amount of money, no matter how much it is, ever fix my broken neck or my depression.
No, of course.
And so while it does help, I sometimes think that people can get complacent with that check and say, okay, this is as good as I'm going to ever be. Mm-hmm. And if I would have done that, I wouldn't be traveling the world making the income that I am now. Let's take it a step further. Before my accident, I was looking away to make money for Shondell and myself and the two boys and to build a ranch. That was what I was doing. Since my accident, I kind of switched to your mindset. I'm trying to find a way to help people. And I found a way to make a better living in the process. Don't need the disability check anymore. That can go to somebody else that really needs it.
Of course.
That's, and there are people that really need it. I have been fortunate to find myself, even though I'm 95% numb, that disability check can go to somebody that really needs it. So.
Of course. Yeah, no, and I definitely, it was just something because you brought up most people don't. I don't really talk about my own, but it's it's a very touchy subject because unfortunately people do need, like you said, those disability checks, and there's more people than not who have a disability and that need them. And I mean, unfortunately, medical care is very expensive. So even equipment, just day-to-day stuff as well. So like your perspective though, for sure.
My thoughts.
So what types of adaptive equipment do you use in addition to your wheelchair? Do you drive, just in terms of, day-to-day stuff?
All right, here we go. So I use these to type. These are called typing aids. They hook onto my hand, and I type about 54 words a minute. I use a normal computer. Everything else I try and use normal toothbrush, normal toothpaste. I do drive using hand controls. There's a on the tire, or on the wheel. I've only hurt 2 people since I've been driving, so that's not a bad record for somebody like me. I use a transfer board to transfer. I wear shoes that are 2 sizes too big. I wear regular shoes, but that makes it easier to get them on. I wear pants that are 2 sizes too big, and I wear shirts that are 2 sizes too big. I cut my hair short now, so now I don't need to comb it. I use a shower chair to shower. Other adaptive equipment. I'll use a pencil to brush Shondel's hair when she's falling asleep at night instead of a brush. I can hold the pencil easier, intertwine it between I got one right here. I'll just take a pen or pencil, and I'll just kind of brush her hair with that pen. She just loves it. She's like, no drugs needed, and she's out. I mean, it's unreal. No alcohol. We don't drink anyway, but I'm just saying, none of that needed. She's gone. She's like gone, and it's unreal. And then I can watch the movies that I want to watch because I put her to sleep. So that's a benefit. So I really try not to use too much, but I'm not against it either. I mean, there's several right ways to solve a single problem. And so adaptive equipment has been a huge blessing. So
yeah, no.
Velcro's cool to use.
I love Velcro. I don't use Velcro enough. I do use a steering knob steering knob. So anyways, but I typically don't need it. It's on just my license. But anyways, it's definitely a huge help. And I find a lot of people with disabilities, regardless of what they are, do drive. And it's something that I never really thought about. That have more profound, they're quadriplegics or, no limbs or, so forth. But I like all your creative ways. I've never met somebody so far aside from you that uses all these cute adaptive devices. Wow. I think it's great. Really.
Get a job done. We'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. So we've spoken about Shondel. Shondel, your wife. How do you? I know that you guys were married. Obviously, you got married prior to your accident. But how do you find kind of like the fine line in terms of her being, quote unquote, a caregiver, and then also like
That's a tough question. Now you're getting personal. It's tough. I'm going to answer that for you. Shondel and I have been married for 26 years.
Oh, wow. You guys are beautiful.
Well, she is. I mean, I'm just kind of tagging along for the ride, but
no, she's beautiful. But you guys are a beautiful couple.
She does help me. And remember what I said about her love language. I mean, I am very, very fortunate that she wants to serve and help me. I don't like it. I don't. I despise it. I hate it. Mm-hmm. Don't take that the wrong way, please. I just say I'm not grateful. That's different.
Right.
I am really trying hard to figure out how to not despise or help. Right. That's where I'm at today. So Shondel has said that if we want someone to come in and help me, do things so I can be a little bit more independent, she'll allow that. No problem. Mm-hmm. But that takes away from her, but she's understanding. I mean, we can meet in the middle somewhere. But she's also then pulled this one on me. She has said, if the roles were reversed, would I let somebody come into our bedroom and help her? Well, what's the answer to that, Allie?
Probably
no way.
Yeah, no way. I was just gonna say, no.
Straight up, no way. I mean, I'm not letting anybody help my wife but me. That's how much I love her. And right. So I've got to take that and stop being a double standard lifestyle and let her help.
Right.
That's where
No, it's great. You guys are a beautiful couple. She's beautiful too. So
thanks for letting me share it.
Yeah. No. Well, thank you. I love to, as more people are, personal and like want to share. I love to see. So so in terms of your father has played an integral part of your life. What is what are some of the lessons that you've learned from your father or did learn from your father?
My dad was the first one in the hospital to give me the news. I mean, it was that was a tough thing. My dad gave me some good news and he gave me some bad news. The good news was that I was still alive. And then, my dad gave me some news that I didn't want to hear. He told me that I had lost the use of my hands and my legs. He did not call me paralyzed. There are a lot more people that are out there that are more paralyzed than me. And they have full function of their body. And all that means is my dad said there are people that refuse to change their mindset. He asked me, that guy right there in the picture asked me to be a better father, a better farmer, a better husband, a better coach to my boys. And he challenged me to be a better family man. I thought that he was lacking credibility. And so he just told me that he said I needed to stop thinking about myself and that this little injury that I was having wasn't about me. It was about everybody else and how it could benefit other people's lives. And so once I started to let that sink in, more came to me in the process. So my dad has been very, very influential. We're best friends, like you said, you are with your mother. I'm not close to my dad. I'm close to my mother as well.
You're lucky to have your parents, because
So that's been, my dad's been there every step of the way. My dad is truly a backbone when I need someone to chat to. Been there a lot. So dad's still around. He's pushing 70.
He's young. That's great. I mean, my dad's 72.
I'm the oldest, and so but of four siblings, I'm the oldest. We're close. We're very close.
Oh, that's great. And so, how do you think that has translated into your life being a father to 4 kids?
That's been a big help as well. When I didn't feel like I was worthy to be a father, play soccer, teach the boys, Dad showed me ways that I could do it. We went to Walmart because Walmart can solve most of your problems, and we bought a small hoop. We bought a small little hoop, and we played basketball on that. And so we bought a Nerf ball instead of a leather ball so I can grip that better. We found different ways to accomplish things. And my dad was a big advocate and a big mentor for that piece. Just instead of just saying be a better father, he showed me, which tells you that he probably did more than a father is required to do. So I that's one of the things that I like to tell people is to do more than their job requires them to do.
And I'm sure your kids look up to you as aside from a father figure, but also a mentor. And I mean, you show and you have your daily struggles, and that's, and you've overcome a lot of them too. And, you have your own company and doing X, Y, and Z, and it's incredible.
I'm close to my father and close to the kids for sure. So that's been a big blessing.
It's wonderful. So what inspired you to write your book, Doing What Must Be Done?
I didn't write it for like 13 or 14 years after the injury, and people just wanted something to take home after I spoke to them. And so that was really after 14 years of speaking publicly, I had nothing in the back of the room. There was no DVDs. So we made a couple of videos, some movies on our story, and I wrote my first book, Doing What Must Be Done. That's the bestseller. They're all bestsellers, but that's one that sold the most copies. And then we've written 6 additional books as well. And so they're all bestsellers. But Doing What Must Be Done is the one that we're most known for. And I didn't do that until, being on the speaking circuit 12 years after, whereas most people write a book first. I just did it backwards. So.
Wow. I think writing books are truly inspirational and, amazing. I'm actually writing one now, but it's not going to be out for a while. I'm only in the beginning stages. And I love telling my story. I probably love telling my story more than quote unquote I should. Just because I don't want people, all my friends know, and my whole, people are in my life. But when I meet new people, I can probably be quote unquote maybe a little more boastful in terms of the positivity of it. And, I don't want people sometimes to take it the wrong way, because you hear the word disability, that can have a lot of different connotations. And people could be, not talking, and so you are named from the Wall Street Journal. I'm one of the 10 most inspiring people in the world. And you often post on your Facebook page today's belief. One of the most recent today's belief posts says, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. Can you explain this belief and how it's applicable to all our lives?
The power of incrementalism. I'm not happy because of any one big grand event. It's not because I won an award or the Wall Street Journal named me this. That's not why I'm happy. I'm happy because of the little intricate things that I choose to do every day that have brought about a great bundle of joy and fulfillment of happiness. Like watching my daughter accomplish good grades, seeing Caleb learn how to speak his first tongue of English, Shondell and I being more compatible, the older boys working on the ranch. I mean, when I start talking about them, I just lose it because I'm just so proud of all those little small things that add up to a big bundle of joy. So it's not big one paycheck that's made me happy. It's not big one. That's just not, it's not a permanent happy fulfillment of joy. It's the small things that I choose to try and do every day that brought about the most permanent part of happiness in my life. And I hope that makes sense. Maybe I can, I mean, here it is. A bunch of small little things that have brought about the biggest joys.
How big's your ranch?
We have probably 500 head of elk, a lot of birds, a lot of pheasants because we do pheasant hunting out there. A lot of people visit the ranch. I mean, I just love the ranch. Horses, a lot of horses with babies. I love the horse business. I love horses in general, and so I have help that helps me run the ranch. I don't need to be here for that. I can travel the world and still have the ranch hands know what they needed to do, and Shondell loves horses as well. So we have a select few that we use to ride. The others are, their job is to throw a baby, and so we have those foals every year that we turn around and sell or roll over. So.
So you also ride yourself?
I don't ride.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure. You said we ride, so I didn't know if it was.
The kids ride and stuff, but I haven't gotten on a horse since the accident.
Yeah, I was going to say that probably a little frightening.
It probably wouldn't be bad therapy, and I'm sure you could figure it out. I wouldn't be something that I would be completely against. I mean, we've got horses that are tame enough to do it. I just don't have the desire.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me wrong though. I do love to go hang around them.
Oh, of course. So much.
Go underneath them. We have some very tame horses. They know me. They know that there's something that's a little bit different about me. You can tell by the way they are. They're very gentle around me.
Oh, wow.
Very, very gentle. Okay. I can go right underneath their belly. I can wheel my chair underneath. I mean, they know. And I'm scratching them and they know that something's different and they're very, very protective. And so they have that intuition, which I love. So I've enjoyed that. And when I've had a bad day, Shondell will take me out to the barn and she'll say, I'm going to bring in a couple of the horses for you. And that's the best therapy for me in the world.
Yeah, animal therapy is great. And you have a dog you'd mentioned, so that's great too.
Yeah.
Because that's in the house,
Yeah. True. Very true.
It's great. But I used to ride when I was little. It was good for PT and OT with my hand or with my leg and arm, but I wouldn't probably get on a horse again just because I don't know.
You could do it though. You got full function. You could do that.
Yeah, no, I could. And my dad's wife, actually, she rides. But yeah, no, it's definitely, it's great therapy. And I mean, just seeing horses, are beautiful. And so
they are
people who ride. So
they're majestic animals for sure.
Yeah. You are world record wheelchair athlete, known for wheeling from Salt Lake City to Las Vegas, 513 miles to be exact. What's that accomplishment like?
It was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. I did train for 18 months to break the world record, and we did it in 11 days. And I was clear back, man, that's been 17 years ago, Allie. It's 2003 when we broke that record. And so that was, back in my youthful ages. Now I'm pushing 50. I'm 47 this year. So I don't know that I could do something like that. Maybe if I exercised and got myself back in some sort of a mental shape, number one, and then physical capacity, number two, then I could do that again, perhaps. But whoever breaks that record next, I'll be the first in mind to congratulate him because I know what kind of work it takes to get there. Again, that was just something that kind of proved to myself that I could still do something with my life. And that training was a lot of therapy. That was in the beginning. Remember, I was injured in 2001. I set the record in 2003. So I didn't wait too long to kind of get my mind onto something else. And that pushing my chair and pushing, with a goal in mind to try and break a record, that kept my mind off of my circumstance. That was probably the biggest part of my therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the record's nice and all the accolades that come along with that. That's cool. But what it did for me, nobody does see. It was therapy.
Yeah, I think it's always the underlying reward that people don't see, you know.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's a great accomplishment. It's going to book of world records and all of that, but like, you know, it's really the underlying one that you have to like feel within yourself. Do you have a concept or view of that you should make time for 5 people that are more successful than you?
Stronger, better, doing something that you're not doing. Maybe it's business applicable, maybe it's physical applicable. Absolutely. And no more than 5, because 5 enough is hard to track and to communicate with on a regular basis. But I do like, and that 5 can change on a weekly basis. But I like to talk with regularly 5 people that are doing things better than I am, happier than I am. Maybe their relationship with their marriage is better than mine. So what is it that they're doing that I'm not? And if I can do that, I'm always number 3. I'm always the average. You're never number 5. You're never number 1. You're always the average. So try and pick 5 that are doing things better than you are in certain categories of your life you're trying to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, love that concept.
I think
a lot of people teach and talk about that, and I believe in it. So
where did you learn it?
So I'm sorry, say that again.
Where did you learn it or hear it from?
I think I heard it first from John Maxwell, who's a very well-known published author and speaker, and talks a lot on leadership. But a lot of people talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kirk Weiser, Brad Barton, Tiffany Peterson, Jack Canfield. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Robbins hits that very hard in his UPW events.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not an abnormal concept. Zig thought a lot about that when he's alive. He might have been the first. I don't know. We'd have to look it up. Henry Ford might have said something like that as well, but it came from somewhere, and a lot of us have just piggybacked on that. So,
right. No, it's a great concept. I've never heard of it, but I think I think I'm gonna share it with other people. I think it's a great.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody else shares it, so
yeah. Okay, so there you go. You preach, especially like when you're talking team building, you know, leadership, customer service. And like mastering change. So what piece of advice would you give to our audience or just to people who have disabilities or parents or caregivers affected with somebody with a disability?
I would simply say for those of people that are going through COVID right now and refuse to adapt to CDC guidelines, refuse to adapt the way that they gather together people, refuse to adapt to a changing world, even if COVID didn't exist, will find themselves trapped in their own patterns. You can just look at me for a second. If I refuse to change the way that I court my spouse, I wouldn't be married today. If I refuse to change the kind of clothes that I wear, and I'm not wearing clothes that I used to wear, I'm wearing clothes that are 2 sizes too big. If I refuse to do that, this would probably be a naked meeting. That wouldn't go over very well. Mm-hmm. But when I'm willing to adapt, more comes to me in the process. And so I ask people to not find themselves trapped in their own patterns. Be an adaptable person. Is it easy? No. But once you start learning the progress and your potential that comes with adaptation, you look at some of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that comes with COVID or other crises that you experience, and you look at it with optimism instead of fear.
Mm-hmm. I like that. This was the best interview I've had.